Hi there, I'm Anton Graf and I'm a specialist for BMW electronics. My company is located in Hamburg, Germany, and in our videos we present you the common problems of BMW. In this case we have a car that we will check. This client had the possibility to come to us to Hamburg, but we offer also this service to check your car by remote coding or remote programming. We will send you such a cable and you need only a notebook, and then we can check your car by remote. What we can check you will see in this video. We will use the original or the genuine BMW diagnostics, and we can check a lot of parts of the engine and also, for example, parts of the gearbox. We can also do by remote updates for the engine and other control models and much more. In our videos you will see what possibilities we have. This car is a diesel, and the diesel that has a soot particle filter or a diesel particle filter. The problem is that this diesel particle filter, it gets dirty, and when you drive on the highway it will clean itself. But this only works in this case that the sensors of this diesel particle filter, they are working right. If a car is, for example, like this one, 10 years old, you can have problems with your sensors and you don't know it, and you drive, and sometimes the turbocharger breaks because it has too much back pressure. In this case we can check the diesel particulate filter, and we can check it with pressure, and we can compare the values. In this case, for example, we see the values in idle. When the car has a very low RPM, the maximum value is 35, we have here 7. So you see we have about 20% it is full. So the values look very good. Then we increase the engine speed. You will hear it. This increasing of the engine speed will also be by remote, and you will get all tests we do by WhatsApp, and you will also get a speech message. We will explain what you see or what we see and what that means. You see, if we increase this engine speed, 75 is now the maximum value, and we have here a value of 20. That looks really good, but it might be wrong values. Like I told you, the sensors, they can be broken. So it also is very important to have a look when was the last regeneration of the diesel particle filter, and how big is the soot mass, because only if you take into account all of these values, only then you can see what is the real, or how full is the diesel particulate filter. Let me have a look, and then we will see. Here you can see, for example, the soot mass. In the soot mass, in this case, is about 16, so it's okay. So the values we see here, they can be like they are. And we can also see when was the last regeneration. The diesel particle filter is only one part of the engine, but it's very expensive. It costs, if you change it new, and about 3,000 euro, and if you change it too late, then the turbocharger can break. Let's continue checking the car. Next we will have a look on the injectors, and we can see in this case we have 6 of them, and I don't know how expensive they are in your country, but in Germany you pay for one injector about 500 to 600 euro, depending on the car you have. And of course there are possibilities to repair them, but as always, something what is repaired never is in the same quality like parts that are new. So we always recommend checking the injectors and to see what treatment we can do so to get them in a better condition. In this case, you see, for example, all of them. A new one would have value like the 6. You see, value 0. This is a good value. The first injector, you see the value is 1.7. This is not very good. Also the second one is high. In this case, we have to clean the injectors because it's not too late. We can do a lot about it so they don't break, and we don't have to invest a lot of money. Because if the injectors, if they break, they can also damage the engine, and this is what we want. This is what we don't want to happen. We will continue now checking the swirl flaps. If you don't know what are swirl flaps, the engine has an air intake, and this air intake has swirl flaps. This is how they look like, and they are moving while the engine is running. You can come closer, then you can see these are the swirl flaps, and you see they're moving, and you see also dirt. I put it like this, then you can see it better. This dirt, you can see the soot mass, it makes them work or move more harder and harder. Where does it soot mass come from? Because the engine is working like this. You get, of course, fuel, diesel into the engine, you get fresh air into the engine, but you also get exhaust gases that are recirculated and going back to the engine. And here we are checking the swirl flaps of this car. You see the red line is how it's supposed to be. The blue one is how it is now. So in this car that is about 9 years old, the swirl flaps are not working right. In this case, of course, they are not working perfect, but in this case it doesn't matter now, because the regeneration of the soot particle or the diesel particle filter is still working okay. But if it gets worse, then the swirl flaps are necessary for a successful regeneration of the diesel particle filter. We will now continue checking the car. Let me have a look. In English it's a bit different than in German, so I have to translate. Now we saw that in this case the swirl flaps, they don't work perfectly because we have soot mass that it's in the engine or in the swirl flaps. We will continue checking it. We are now checking the intake port sooting, because the swirl flaps are sooted and they're not working perfectly. Now we are checking where the valves are, how much is the intake sooted. We will check it on different RPMs or engine speed. You will hear that the engine goes up, the RPM goes up, and the system knows different volumes we should have in this RPM level, and then we will compare it. Here you can see it. We first start with this one, then we continue, and then you get another one, and then we can see what is how much volume is left. Because the soot, what you saw in the where the swirl flaps are, the soot doesn't stop at the air intake or where the swirl flaps are. It's continuing into the engine, and this is what we are now checking. Because if you should have volume, if this volume is, for example, not free, part of it is sooted, of course your engine is not working right because you don't have enough volume, air volume in the engine, but you get still the same amount of fuel volume like before, and that's why your engine is not working in the way it should to be. But you see here what we saw in the swirl flaps, we have a sootening, and we have also a sootening here. You see, those are the maximum values, 30 and minus 30. And you see here, you have a value at 14, and here you have a value of 16 and 18. So let's say about 55–60% of the volume we see here is full of soot. Of course, the engine is not working right. What is BMW dealer doing? They are either changing this air intake where the swirl flaps are or cleaning it, and they're doing a walnut blasting of the engine. and this costs in Germany about 3,000 euro. It's very expensive. We will now check how much or how high is the difference between the air mass calculated and measured air mass. You can see it, it's not the same. This is what I told you, because we don't have the volume in the engine anymore we should have. And that's why the engine is not running right. Interesting is something, all those tests for all of you who want to buy a new car, a used car, and want to know what they are buying. Or if you, for example, have a car and want to check if everything is all right, we can do it. Let's continue checking the car. We now come to a very expensive and very important part. It's called the bypass flap of the EGR cooler. I will show you how it looks like in reality, but I will start the process because it's take about 30 seconds, and the RPM goes up and stuff like this, and in this time I will show you what it is and how it looks like. Okay, you see RPM is going up. All of these tests we can do same by remote, and all of these pictures you will get by WhatsApp or another messenger you prefer. Okay, what is the bypass of the AGR cooler? This is the one. This is the cooler of the EGR, and this is the bypass. You see, this is a small flap that is moving. What is to say how it's working? It's working like this until the engine is hot. The exhausts are going through the EGR bypass to getting the engine fast warm. After 50 degrees Celsius, then the EGR valve is doing all the work, for example. And if this valve don't move or sticks in one position, it's not open, not closed, this is what we don't want. That's why we are checking the temperature in different values. This part costs here in Germany with exchange 1,500 euro. And if it's not working right, you get wrong values, for example, for the diesel particulate filter. That's why we always have to check what is the condition. And you see here, we have different values. We have different temperatures we should have, and those are we have. And you see the difference. The difference should always be at least 15. In this case, we have 50, because this one was changed for free at BMW dealership here in Germany, and it's new, it's working, everything is all right. But if it is like 5, 6, maybe 10 years old, it's very important to check it, because if this one don't work, the car thinks that the diesel particulate filter, it's empty, it's clean, and never starts cleaning it, and it gets fuller and fuller and fuller, because this one is works with the back pressure of the diesel particulate filter. Okay, let's continue checking the car. The last part will be the gearbox. We can check some more parts, but in this case we will finish with the gearbox, and I will tell you something about the adaptation values. The gearbox works with oil pressure, and if you have enough oil pressure in the gearbox, everything is fine, you can drive it, it won't break. But if you have oil leakage somewhere, you don't feel it, because the gearbox adapts. That's why we have adaptation values. And with this adaptation values, you can see how is the condition of my gearbox. Do I have some leakage somewhere or not? If I have some leakage, then you can do some countermeasures or some counter parts, or you can change some things, so you do something about this leakage. In this case, we see, for example, the clutch fill pressures and the rapid fill times. Clutch fill pressures tells us how much more pressure should a gearbox develop to shift the gear. And the rapid fill times tells us how much time it needs. So physically it's like this. The nearer the values are to 0, the better is the condition of your gearbox. In this case, you see the clutch fill pressures, they are all okay. Only clutch C has a value of 207. All others have values like 70, 25, 60. So we have a pressure loss in clutch C. And that's why in this time where the gearbox tries to get the pressure going, in this time the gearbox it breaks, because I can show you, maybe it's easier than only explaining. These are the same gearbox we have in the car, and this is, for example, the clutch. We have 3 of them here, one is here, and for example, if you have a leakage in pressure or losing pressure, then this thing is breaking, because you see what we have here, it's not forever, and sometimes it's later or sooner or later it will be gone, and then you have a broken gearbox that you have to repair, and it's very, very expensive. One thing I forgot, I will show you what is also very important. It's the software on your car, because many cars still have the old software level. For example, here you can see it also here. This car is made 2013, 11th in November, and you see the actual software level of this car is 2014. So the software of this car is now 8 years old. So 8 years, all of the process the BMW had, all the errors that are gone now in the engine software, this car don't have it, because it never had an update. An update is very important for those of you who wants to know if something is wrong with your engine, and the new update see if a sensor doesn't work in that value like it should be, or like processes like regeneration of diesel particulate filter, it's also better. So I always, especially at BMW, recommend to make an update. An update you can do at the dealership, and the dealership, they have to update all of the car, or we can update only part of the car, special units, because the only control model where an update makes sense is only the engine. If you have interest in topics like this, you can also share our videos to your friends. You can comment in the commentary section if you have some experience with stuff like this, and you can subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you very much, and see you.